Family tried to force me to forgive my cheating wife. But I had my own plan. I never thought I would be the kind of man to sit down and write this, but life has a way of testing you in ways you can't imagine. My story begins the night I discovered my wife was cheating on me. It wasn't something I had suspected for long. I wasn't the paranoid type, I wasn't snooping around her phone or tracking her every move. I trusted her, maybe more than I should have. But trust is fragile, and once broken, it can never be fully repaired. That night, I came home earlier than expected. She thought I was working late, but I had decided to surprise her. Instead, I was the one surprised. Her phone was left on the kitchen counter, buzzing with message after message. I wasn't the kind of husband to look through her things, but when you see your wife's phone lighting up at midnight with someone's name you don't recognize, curiosity turns into dread. I opened it. And what I found shattered me. The messages weren't just friendly, they were explicit, intimate, full of things I thought only she and I shared. My hands were trembling as I scrolled further, realizing this wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a full-blown affair. When she walked in and saw me holding her phone, her face turned pale. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just froze. And yet, she kept making mistakes. She kept slipping up. One morning, she told me she was going for a girls' brunch. But her car was gone for hours, and when I checked the GPS later, she had been nowhere near the restaurant she claimed. Another night, she swore she was staying late at work, but when I drove by her office, the lights were off and her car wasn't there. She returned home with messy hair and perfume that wasn't hers. Once, she came back wearing a man's hoodie, claiming it was her friend's jacket, because she was cold. The lies piled up, and every slip made it more obvious. The worst moment came when she accidentally called me by his name in the middle of a conversation. She tried to laugh it off, saying she was tired, but the look in her eyes betrayed her. It was a knife in my chest. That was the moment I knew, she didn't even respect me enough to hide it properly. But it wasn't just her words that cut deep. It was the reaction of the people I thought would support me. My family, her family, our so-called friends. When I told them, hoping for comfort, hoping someone would tell me I wasn't crazy for feeling betrayed, they did the opposite. They circled around her like she was the victim, not me. My parents told me to think of the children. Her parents told me men are supposed to forgive. My friends even said, everyone makes mistakes, don't throw it all away. It was as if my pain didn't matter. For days I walked around like a ghost, invisible in my own home. At night, I could barely sleep, replaying her betrayal over and over in my head. And every time I thought about confronting her again, the words of my family echoed louder, forgive her. Move on. Don't destroy your marriage. It felt like I was drowning in pressure, being forced to accept something I could never accept. But deep inside me, a different voice started whispering. A voice that said, no. I don't have to forgive. I don't have to play the fool to make everyone else comfortable. I deserve better. So I made a plan. I didn't scream, I didn't threaten, I didn't pack my bags right away. I smiled. I acted like I was listening. I even pretended to consider reconciliation. She thought she was winning me back. The family thought they had convinced me. But every night, when she went to sleep, I was awake, collecting evidence, making copies, preparing for the day when the mask would drop. I spoke to a lawyer quietly, in secret. I started moving money, protecting myself. I gathered proof, screenshots, messages, everything I needed so that when the time came, she couldn't twist the story against me. Weeks went by and everyone thought I had forgiven her. They thought I was weak enough to let it go. She even started smiling again, acting like our life was back on track. But she had no idea that the ground beneath her feet was already crumbling. And then came the day of the family dinner. Her parents were there, my parents, even some of our closest friends. The perfect audience. She held my hand at the table, smiling like nothing had happened, as if she wasn't a liar, as if she hadn't destroyed the foundation of everything we had built. That's when I stood up. My heart was pounding, but my voice was steady. I looked around the table, at every single person who had told me to forgive, to be a man and just take it. And then I laid it all out. The messages. The photos. The times she lied about work. The brunch that never happened. The jacket that didn't belong to her. The slip of the tongue when she called me by another man's name. Piece by piece, I tore down the facade she had built. I read the messages aloud until no one could deny what she had done. My wife sat there, her face red with shame, trying to stop me, begging me to sit down. But I didn't. The room went quiet. No one spoke. The people who had once defended her now sat with their heads lowered. And when I was finished, I placed the divorce papers on the table. She broke down crying, begging me not to do it, swearing she would change. But the part of me that once loved her was gone. She killed it the moment she chose someone else over me. That night I walked out of that house free. My plan had worked. I didn't just leave, I exposed her. I showed everyone who she really was. For once, the weight lifted off my shoulders. I wasn't the fool anymore. I wasn't the weak husband who forgave because others told him to. I was the man who stood up for himself. It's been months since that night, and life hasn't been easy. Divorce is never easy. But I look at myself in the mirror and I see a man who refused to be broken. My children know the truth, and I will never let them forget that their father chose dignity over humiliation. People still talk about what happened, and sometimes I hear whispers that maybe I was too harsh. But you know what? I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I didn't just lose a wife, I lost a betrayer. And in her place, I found something far more valuable, my self-respect. What would you have done in my situation? Subscribe to my channel, more stories are coming soon. Thank you.